right, so this should be a good one. How is Missouri looking to spend your money, and how do legislators in the state of Missouri feel about you, the worker, the voter? It's election season, just a few short weeks before the big day. Well, we're gonna find out. With our eyes on the ground, St. Pete himself, Peter Meredith. Let's take a look here. So just to kind of give you an idea of what it is we're going to be talking about for all the normies who ain't paying attention to a lot of this stuff, especially at this local state level. This is from house.mo.gov committees. We are looking at the Mo legislation, the state house budget committee, right? Committee chair, Representative Cody Smith, Republican. Vice chair, Representative Dirk Deaton, also Republican. And then we have the ranking minority member, friend of the show, St. Pete himself, Representative Peter Meredith, Democrat. And of course, a few others as we go on. Hey, there's Betsy Fogel. So basically what we're going to be looking at here is the discussion that was had today and how that pertains to you, the voter, the worker, may or may not be the taxpayer. So let's just dig through some of St. Pete's mean tweets that he's been letting us know about literally all day long and see what sort of progress that the Missouri State House Budget Committee has been able to come up with, how they're going to be spending your money. And keep in mind, this is from all the folks who didn't receive unemployment last year. After, what was that, the month of May? This is how state legislators are looking to spend your money that you didn't receive. So let's take a look, shall we? So St. Pete tweets out at 1:39 p.m. today, 1:39 p.m. my time, so 12:30 Central your time, right? Now Representative Ritchie saying, we're sure we're talking about costs to the state budget, but this is about folks that need relief right now. Then why does this bill provide literally $0 to the bottom third of earners? Those are the folks that truly need the most help right now. Hashtag moleg. The bottom third of workers. Now, we heard St. Pete talk about this earlier this year to the House. He had that big argument with Representative Roden. We're going to show some clips of that that I had also made some remarks about, where St. Pete had mentioned that the bottom 30% to 33% of Missouri workers don't meet the criteria for what is that, the standard deduction, right? It's been a slow coffee day for me and a lot of crazy stuff. So they don't meet that standard deduction. That's 33% of Missouri workers do not hit the standard deduction, therefore do not technically pay taxes on their income. Of course, Representative Roden mentioned that because of that, they're not paying anything into the system. They, maybe shouldn't get too much out of it, right? And so this is from Rudy Keller, who is the deputy editor from Missouri Independent, who was also there on the scene, reporting and tweeting out as the day had went on, and St. Pete's response to this conversation. When we get to the remark, moleg has been raising state worker pay and tax cuts. This is from at Lincoln Huff. And tax cuts will help families struggling with inflation. When you give people the tools to do that, then we all do better. Hashtag MoGov, hashtag tax cut, hashtag special session. And St. Pete's response, quote tweet, how nearly 30% of families will get literally zero impact from this. The 30% that make the least. If anyone's struggling right now, isn't it them? Isn't it them? I mean, those are the folks who are hit the hardest by COVID. Those are the folks who are being hit the hardest by inflation. You all remember inflation, right? It's the big Republican talking point this year. So, and let me pull this up here. So this is part and parcel. I think maybe the same conversation here. Twitter threads is kind of hard to follow. So we'll take a look at this from Rudy Keller. At Lincoln Huff explains the nuts and bolts of the Missouri Senate tax plan with initial cut and inflation indexed, growth triggered future cuts. Tell me when you guys' eyes glaze over. And then continues down the thread. Challenging tax cut that will reduce revenue by $1 billion per year when fully implemented. Meredith says money is needed for programs and pay raises for state workers. We have Meredith says we haven't kept up with inflation and we haven't kept up with rising wages, which is why we can't fill these jobs. And so then the Lincoln Huff says moleg has been raising state worker pay and tax cuts with helping family. When you people give people the tools, they will all do better, right? So continuing on, now sparring with Ingrid Burnett over whether the tax cut helps low-income earners. And this is where St. Pete comes in swinging. Bill would eliminate taxes on the first $14,000 of income. Full-time work at minimum wage in Missouri is $23,192 per year. Right. And so St. Pete comes in swinging. The bill doesn't do that. It saves a total of $15 for an individual making $14,000 to $21,000. Does literally nothing for folks making less than $13,000. Aren't these the folks struggling the most right now? Meanwhile, the top 1% will average a tax giveaway of $6,000 per year from this bill. Now, that includes Johnny Morris, folks. I'm just saying. We're literally taking money last year from folks on unemployment who were hit the hardest from this whole COVID situation, which is where all of this money came from. This is from the Trump stimulus and the Trump stimulus and the Biden stimulus. This is all of that money. Missouri has a surplus for their budget, and they want to give it to Johnny Morris because fuck you. 1/3 of Missouri workers at the very bottom, some of which who also had this money robbed from them last year because Governor Mike Parson just decided out of the fucking blue to rip you off. Yes. And that's who St. Pete is referencing here. Seems the GOP folks, and he quote tweets himself here. I love this. I do this sometimes. It's kind of ridiculous. From the previous tweet. Seems the GOP thinks folks making under $20,000 a year or married making under $40K don't make enough to count as struggling low earners deserving help. Hashtag moleg. And he's right. We've seen this reiterated time and time again. Again, the first time I heard it, probably in my fucking life, was while St. Pete was debating Representative Roden about what to do with all this excess money. He says, well, you know, St. Pete makes the reference, well, 1/3 of Missouri workers, they don't fucking pay nothing on the standard deduction. You know, because they're struggling. And people on Social Security who work their whole goddamn lives and aren't paying taxes now because they're collecting a Social Security check. And the Republicans are like, meow, 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 meow. I ain't paying nothing into the system, so what the fuck we gonna pay them for? Fuck them. St. Pete says otherwise. Did then, does now. I did, you know. This right here is what it all comes down to. The GOP thinks our state is doing great right now. And I mentioned this in St. Pete's email newsletter, or covered this in St. Pete's email newsletter that he mentioned. The GOP thinks our state's doing great right now. Lowest state funding for schools, lowest paid teachers, lowest paid state workers, workforce crisis and mental health, social workers, prisons. That's a good job. And you know, this is why so many of the women candidates running for state office and you know, for public office to you know, for oh hell, what's it called? I'm so stuck up with these state politics. For U.S. House and for U.S. Senate, make the reference to you know, our defunding public education, and why in some cases, like Jess Piper, she's a fucking teacher. Tara Honora, she's a fucking librarian. I went to a meeting where Randy McCallion, who's running for U.S. Congress to represent the state of Missouri, made reference to Tara Honora, who's running for state senate. That, you know, I'm definitely not quoting her directly because she doesn't use the same words that I use. But it was something very much along the lines of, like, you know, you fucked up when you pissed off the librarian and they're running for, you know, for public office to fix this shit. That was what I took from it. Like, oh my God, are you kidding me, folks? Come on. And St. Pete points that out really well. This grabbed my attention as well. Literally, I mean, this is at 2:57 p.m. So 1:57 y'all's time, right? Show Me Institute just testified for this cut because income tax cuts tend to grow a state's economy. I pointed to the Kansas tax cuts, which he mentioned before several months ago. Again, with Missouri state legislation during his discussion with argument rather with Representative Roden. I pointed out to the Kansas tax cuts that they supported and Missouri's past cuts they supported, both followed by years of, economies falling behind other states. He called those anecdotes. And, of course, we have the Center on Budget and Policy's fun little graph here. So St. Pete continuing the thread. He did at least acknowledge, pull that up. He did at least acknowledge that if our state has the lowest funding for K through 12 of any state in the country, which we do, that's probably not good for growth either. So how's the tax cut going to help us increase funding for K through 12 or anything else when Fed spending slows back down? And of course, I chimed in with my not having an economic background whatsoever. My economic education is based on my own personal experience of watching the economy and trading stocks and the binary options and that. So from a spectator's position, but of course I chimed in with on a long enough timeline, anything will work. Literally anything will work on a long enough timeline because of simple adaptation, and that's true. On a long enough timeline, austerity works because of adaptation and because of progress. The point is, though, the difference is. What will cause the most immediate and long-term harm, austerity, versus the most immediate and long-term relief for both businesses and people, or, we could just say fuck the businesses and just consider the people, because that will also further, growth and progress, and especially in business. That's literally the tenet of social democracy. Is that by supporting the people, supporting the workers, you support business. Kyle Kalinske actually just did a great piece about the 4-day work week and some of the benefits that has been shown to give to American companies who had recently, experimented with this, and their increase in productivity, which I found super interesting. I guess if I'd have paid more attention to the video, I could have given you a bigger rundown on what it is, but, just go over to Kyle Kalinski's channel and check that out. It's pretty cool. It's got the thumbnail 4-day work week. It's great. And then when you're done, come back over here and smash the subscribe button and support your boy Chainsaw on Patreon by going to patreon.com/chainsawccc or chainsawccc.com/Patreon. You can support the show for as little as, I think it's now $5 a month. Because we have one patron, and I love her to death, and we're gonna leave it at that. But your boy Chainsaw, we got to keep these lights on, okay? Yeah, the more patrons we get, the more I can keep up with this grisly face that I got going on here. So sign up today and support independent media, because our one sponsor literally pays for my vaping habit, and it's only half of that. So don't smoke, kids. But anyway, so St. Pete, goes further. And this is at 3:40 my time, so 2:40 y'all's time. These GOP reps and lobbyists are now spinning in circles to say that just because the last big income tax cuts in Missouri and the cuts in Kansas didn't help our economies at all, doesn't mean they won't help this time. And that's their fucking argument, folks. We heard it months ago. And they're still running on this shit? Come on. We know tax cuts must be a good thing always, right? And then I'd never even seen this emoji, but I kind of fucking love it. Hashtag moleg. Jesus Christ. And I think we're coming up on the last two tweets here. No, the last couple of tweets here. Mean tweets from St. Pete. 449, 349 your time. Now the House GOP tax cut. Top 1% of earners in Missouri would save an average of $15,000 a year. Bottom 20% of folks that make enough to owe income tax would save $10 per year. That's this many. Can we get that on camera all at once? That's this many dollars. Oh, I got some fat fucking sausage fingers. It's this many dollars. It's Vogue many dollars. Okay. Nope. There we go. I got to work this out. It's this many dollars per year. The bottom 20% of folks that make enough to owe income tax would save this many dollars per year. That's $10 per year, plus 30% of folks who don't even make enough to get a penny from this cut. So again, who is this tax cut for? Let me answer that for you, St. Pete. I done said it one time. Can you hear me now? It's Johnny Morris and Mike Parson and Graves Garrett Law Firm. You know, they're farmers, right? It's for Eric Schmidt because he's been doing such a good job with the GOP. You know, it's been doing such a good job that the Missouri GOP is now running the hashtag shut Agape down, or whatever the fuck it is that they're appropriating from folks, you know, like Eric Garland and my team, and better folks out there than my team. No offense to my team, but better folks out there than fucking your boy Chainsaw, who have been pushing for this shit for a long goddamn time. And now the Missouri Republican Party wants to appropriate that shit also, which is just gross. Fuck. So that's the party of Eric Schmidt. But they want to give your unemployment money from last year. All you United, what is it? Let me pull that up here. All of you, what is it? United Across Missouri, and I helped with this, putting this shit together. I don't even remember. All you United Across Missouri folks who were so fucking pissed off at me last year because I got the YouTube channel. Yeah, they're trying to give your money to Johnny Morris, to Eric Schmidt. So you can sit on that Schmidt. But you know what to do. So anyway. Oh, I just skipped over that one. So St. Pete again, the GOP budget chair today, and gotta love it. We already do more than we have, and this is a fucking quote. Okay, I wasn't there, but you know, we're taking St. Pete at his word here. We already do more than we have in the history of the world for poor people. It's time we do something for the people that pay for all that. Just in case you were curious. Just in case you were curious. So when they say, when St. Pete asks, you know, who is this tax cut for? It's not for the poor. We already do more than we have in the history of the world for the poor people. It's time we do something for the people that pay for all of that. Soak that shit in for a second. A lot of my new friends who are going to be seeing this are going to be losing their absolute fucking minds. And let me know what you think in the comments. Is this going on in your home state? Ah, yes, we must do more for those poor millionaires and billionaires. God, I fucking love this guy. Hungry kids, though? Hungry kids, though? We got orange lights for that. He didn't say that. I said that. Hungry kids, though, he did say they're good now. With this face. But, you know, Mikey P, who, again, is the one who jacked this money from the unemployed last year, you know, he's got plenty of money to go for his friends and himself, because he's a farmer too. Remember, Mikey P's a farmer too, right? And he, you know, he's got to pay for those orange lights. Look, I got one patron on Patreon who's giving me $4 a month to pay for these fucking lights, and I love her to death. Oh my God, I cannot. Wonderful, fucking right here. Okay, so how are the kids doing it? I don't even know. They're doing some things. Okay. I watch a lot of Apple and Onion, so I'm trying to work this out. But anyway, fucking love my one patron to death. But in the meantime, Mikey P's lights, he's got the orange lights, and they're nicer, and they're bigger, and they're brighter, and they are taking money out of hungry kids' fucking, you know, school lunches for the summer school program. It's literally taking money from every single person, you know, that was organizing United Across Missouri, or who supported United Across Missouri, that hates me with a passion. Because of these blue lights, he's taking their money, and he's giving it to himself, to Eric Schmidt. You know, you can't even convince that guy to go to work. Stop it already. He shows up at his job and fucks off more than I do. I guarantee that guy's walked into his office, you know, not wearing pants more times than I have this year. I don't know. You know, that's just hearsay. I'm just guessing. No one actually told me that. I don't have any evidence of this, but I'm just guessing. If I was Eric Schmidt, I wouldn't wear pants either. Fuck it. I don't know. But so lastly, from St. Pete, before we close this segment out, reducing our corporate tax rate, that's already the second lowest in the country. That'll get businesses to move here, right? Pulling them in. Then they'll just ignore our GOP leaders imposing hateful, discriminatory policies on their employees and their families, right? And then, of course, the quote tweet from Chris. I can't even believe I went there. From Crystal Quaid. There we go. Apparently, I'm developing a stutter with the coffee. Who had tweeted out, "Hey moleg, if you want corporations to come Missouri, maybe you shouldn't ban abortion care and stop beating up on trans kids." Bob Andres, HB 22. I think I've said just about all there is to fucking say about that today. So anyway, thank you and kudos to my dude St. Pete for keeping it real out there, and quite actually holding it down for folks. For working folks in the state of Missouri, because Jesus Christ, we know that we can't count on these assholes to keep it real for us. And before we close, I want to leave you with the Republican Party in their own words, with a quote from Representative Roden.
Sides, you want to give hardworking people a break, but if we were to bring up something about income tax reductions,
as we just talked about, a third of the population doesn't pay income tax. How does an income tax reduction help working class folks? It doesn't. That's the point. You want to get rid of a sales tax on groceries? I'm all in. Let's do that.
So a 1% tax on groceries, that's going to save maybe $100, $150 a year,
and this will give them
giving somebody
and this will give those same people zero. $0. That's what this bill, without my amendment, would do. $0 for those people. Zero.
Gentlemen, they didn't put anything into the system.
They paid property taxes, sales taxes. They pay more of their income in sales taxes a year than higher income folks do. That's a fact. Why is your side ignoring that reality?
And that's what it all boils down to, in essence, is that a third of Missourians, as was stated, are working class folks who work every day, or 40 hours a week, but do not make enough money for the standard deduction. Therefore, they do not deserve representation in the state of Missouri. Listen, Chainsaw, when you're right, bro. And that was from April? We're at, what does 9 stand for? I forget. Anyway, I'm gonna take a short break, jump right back into it. My God.